There we go. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. My name is Nikita Udwani. Before we start, welcome to our webinar. I see Iyad is typing as well. Indeed, colleagues, I'd like to always just do a quick audio video check to make sure that you can see Kennethy and myself and also hear us. There we go. I see some folks typing. Ta-da! Thank you, Jillian. And you can see the screen as well. Yay! Thank you. So welcome everyone. Thank you all for joining the Freeforums webinar this Wednesday. This today we have an exciting topic by a very exciting, enthusiastic presenter. The topic we're going to be discussing today is how to build a balanced shift schedule for drivers. Um, Kennethy Osengo, he is the Senior Operations Assistant in IOM Kenya, and has a lot oversees the fleet. They have a fleet manager as well. He's overseeing. He's accountable for fleet management. Has a lot of experience in this area. Has a decent sized group of drivers, and today he's going to be sharing with you best practices, at least his experiences, and I think a lot of these are definitely best practices on how to yeah, build a shift schedule for drivers. If this is the first webinar that you are attending, then just a few housekeeping rules. It's a 30-minute webinar. Kennethy is going to be presenting for 20 minutes. We will be taking your questions in the final 10 minutes. So please feel free to use the chat box to ask questions, to make comments, and then in the 10 minutes that are left, we will be picking those up at the end of the webinar. We are recording the webinar as well, and we try to make it as interactive as possible. We already have 40 attendees on the line today. Fantastic. I see some of you have done so already, but if you haven't, you know the drill. Please introduce yourself, your name, the organization, and the country that you are dialing in from today. So thank you all for joining. I'm really excited that Kennethy is going to be sharing about this. He's a very active participant in the Fleet Forum community, whether it's in our trainings, our conference, now currently with our the local hubs that we are piloting. And I'm very grateful for your time today, Kennethy. So over to you. Let's begin.
Thank you, Nikita. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. I'm happy to present this topic today. My name is Kennethy Osengo, as has been told by Nikita. I work for IOM Kenya. I'm the Senior Operations Assistant, Field Support. My colleague Angela is handling the fleet right now, but I occasionally assist her whenever she requires my assistance. We will delve straight into the topic, today's topic, building a balanced shift schedule for drivers. As you all know, one of the trickiest parts of fleet manager is balancing the team's workload and the schedule. So you would always want to maximize utilization and at the same time optimize your driver team's capacity. You also need to make sure that your team is doing well and that they are not overworking or getting burnt out. So that is why it calls for maintaining a balanced shift schedule to ensure that there is sustainability within your workforce, and that you will maximize your team's capacity at the same time ensuring that you do not overwork them. So the shift schedule will basically help you know who is working, when they are working, the task they are working on, and how much work do they have to do at that particular time. So with that brief, I will want to maybe briefly introduce, give stats on the IOM mission, Kenya mission fleet. We have 37 vehicles, of which we have 4 buses, 1 armored vehicle, 4 minivans, a truck, SUVs, and a motorbike. Out of all these, Um, uh, we have 4 locations from which we are working. That is Nairobi, in the capital. We have Kakuma and Dadaab, that is field locations, and we also have a sub-office in Mombasa. So we have managed to uh, recruit about 25 drivers in our workforce, of whom 18 are on a fixed term, and 18 are on fixed term contract, and the 7 are on all on-call contract. And at IOM Kenya, we do not accrue overtime unless it is justified and pre-approved by the workload that is in place. At times, yes, we have overtime, but then it is compensated with leave days. So that is why we really have to juggle and balance our shift schedule to ensure that we do not incur any overtime costs. Our vehicles run a minimum or an average of about 1,600 kilometers per vehicle per month. There are those, of course, which do up to maybe 3 or 4,000, depending on the mission they are on. And the buses and the trucks do less mileage because we use them only when we are moving our beneficiaries from point A to point B. Why would we want to have a balanced shift schedule? One of the reasons is that it will help us reduce labor costs and boost our staffing morale. Um, and by that, if the morale of our staff is boosted, then it means efficiency will improve. And also, the balanced shift schedule will enable every manager to stay on top of the work plans or work schedule and ensure that the employees are striking a healthy work-life balance, which means that uh, we will uh, have a difference in terms of noting the difference between chaos and clarity. So the shift schedule will inform the clarity of work, the clarity of how activities are done, and then we will avoid the chaos that normally arise when people don't know when they are working, what they are working on, and how they are going to do it. So it will help us to better manage our resources, improve our efficiency, and enhance our program delivery. It is also facilitating better communication on workload and better communication on the tasks that are available and the sharing of the workload. So that is basically why we need a balanced shift schedule. So I would end that by saying a better time management will lead to more efficient operations and happier clients. You know, we have clients we serve, those are the staff members, we have the beneficiaries, we have every person that is using the vehicles that we operate is our client. Um, Moving forward, I know that there are different types of shift schedules, but before you zero in on a schedule, you need to consider your operational environment. You need to consider what type of environment or what type of environmental requirements or operational requirements that you have for your fleet, and this will help you to choose exactly which type of shift you want to shift schedule you want to make for your team. Because there are those who work 24 hours a day, there are those that work maybe from 8 to 5, the straight shift, and there are those who work irregular shift patterns. So based on those requirements, operational requirements, you will choose a shift schedule that best fits your requirements. So we have several types of shift schedules, but I'll speak about the three. The first one being fixed schedules, where the same number of hours are worked every day throughout the week by the staff member. For example, they report at 8, they leave at 4:30 or 5. And then we have flexible schedules where employees work a specific number of days or number of hours per day or per week, and then this number of hours is a minimum requirement for that specific employee for that particular week or for that particular day. So it can stagger in between what time the employee comes in and what time they leave. And then we have on-call schedules where the employees are available only during specific times or when they are called upon. And this one, we use it quite frequently at our mission because uh, we operate in very, would I say, volatile or dynamic environments where we need sometimes to facilitate movement of beneficiaries from the transit center to maybe interview sites. So sometimes they delay at the interview site until 6 p.m., 7 p.m. So we need to balance our shift to ensure that the drivers are covering this well and they are not getting burned out. With the type of shifts in place now, you have now decided which type of shift fits your operations. You will now have to start building the balanced schedule. And how do you build it? What will you consider when building this? You will consider your team composition. You need to understand and analyze the workload that you have. You need to know the operational context within which you are operating. You need to create a schedule that is fair for everyone to ensure that everyone feels included and listened to. You should also establish efficient communication between yourself and between the drivers to ensure that they know exactly what time, when, and which days they are working, and what times they are reporting to work and leaving. So you need also to post the schedule at least 7 or 14 days in advance so that people can plan themselves around those days, and then consider the time off and leave vacation requests. And you should mainly make sure that as you do you consider the leave requests, you need to come up with a clear policy on when and how the leave requests are put in. So you also need to involve the team, the drivers, in the scheduling process so that they do understand exactly what is going on and how transparent the process is. In addition to that, let me now start to look into this deeply, into each point deeply. By knowing your team, you will know the type of people that you have and the type of tasks that you have. So, for example, if you have duties that involve maybe ferrying containerized cargo on a semi-trailer to a certain point, you will not give a driver that is not certified to drive a commercial vehicle. For example, like a semi-trailer. So you will have to understand the relevant skills and certifications that your team has, and then try to schedule them based on their skills and their certifications and based on the work that you have. And then you will look also at the personal qualities like efficiency, reliability, or perseverance. Who can withstand which conditions, and how reliable are they? So that is one of the things that will inform you on which shift to put this person. Will you want to put this less reliable person alone, or you will want to pair him with somebody else that is more reliable so that they can complement each other? So look into their employment status. Are they full-time or part-time? For example, like in our mission, we do not send part-time employees, on-call drivers to field missions because of insurance and those policies issues. So we only use the regular or fixed-term contracted drivers to go to the field mission. So looking into all that, you will know now who to schedule where and when. Uh, you will also have to look at their certifications versus the task at hand, as I had initially said. And then after that, you need to analyze your workload. You need to make sure that you know how much work is there to be done, and then you can justify if you want additional on-call drivers, or you will just use the drivers that are currently employed on regular basis. So you should identify the very busy hours of your operations, and then the most important tasks that need to be done, and then schedule them on your most with your most competent drivers, and then also analyze the routes and the vehicle types for each route. If, for example, you want to move from, let's say, let me use an example of our field office, Kakuma to Nairobi. Maybe you are driving a bus. Who is best suited for this bus? You will look into his certification. Is he certified to drive this bus? And what time will he be driving? Will it be one person, or there will be two, so that they can avoid that situation where they may be fatigued on the road. So you will look into that, and then analyze the workload, and how much is there to be done, and how many days are continuously to be worked, so that you can assign whoever you need to assign by that time. The other consideration is tracking driver clock in and clock out times. Um, you need to clearly instruct your drivers on how to track their clock in and clock out times. At IOM, we have the regular contracted drivers using the digital clock-in machines, that is the biometrics, and the on-call drivers use the manual timesheet because they are not fully integrated into the HR system. So with that, you should have them track their time, reporting time, and have someone certify when they are coming in and when they are going out, so that you can use the same data to prepare the next period's shift schedule. Something else that you need to do is to create a shift schedule that is fair to everyone. I mean, by being fair to everyone is that even the new hires, the new drivers, the on-call drivers, or the temporary staff that you get into the team will be uh, uh, will feel that they are also fairly scheduled, because in most cases, sometimes people tend to give more work to the newbies. So you need to be balanced, so that whether it is the new staff or the old staff, all of them should be on equal grounding when it comes to shift scheduling. And then you should notify the drivers ahead of time about their work schedule, so that if somebody was planning maybe to take vacation, they will, in one way or the other, reschedule their vacation, or work around on how uh, to cover themselves during the period that they were scheduled to work. Give them a voice that they can come back to you and say, I want to swap my shift with so and so that I can take these days and use it for my personal errands or engagements. Then you can also offer premium pay for schedule changes that are without timely notice, but that depends entirely on your HR policies. You can provide rest periods between the shifts and ensure that everyone feels they are not being overworked throughout. And then ensure that you keep records of the previous schedules for future reference, in case somebody would want to say, oh, I'm being unfairly scheduled. You can go back to the previous schedules to ensure that it is rightfully true that this person is being overscheduled or not. And then do not retaliate on any drivers who are trying to maybe enforce schedule related rights, because as you share the schedules, you give them their rights, that you can request a change, you can communicate early enough so that we can plan around the working times. And then the other consideration was to be about communication. You need to establish an efficient communication system which will ensure that everyone knows the right time they are coming to work, the right time they will be leaving work, the right time that the days they will be working, and the days they will be on off duty. You can use toolbox talks, you can use WhatsApp groups, you can use emails, you can use phone calls, online video meetings, of which sometimes at our place we use toolbox talks. Sometimes we just have an informal meeting, maybe at the parking bay or at the office. We take like 10 to 15 minutes, brainstorm on the day's duties, and ask for feedback on the previous day's duties. And then by that, you are able to encourage communication with your team. And also make sure that you maintain direct communication with your drivers on daily basis, if need be, and make sure that everyone feels listened to and included into the scheduling. Um, the other consideration would be posting the schedule at least 7 or 14 days in advance. This will enable the drivers to reschedule or schedule their personal commitments, and at the same time accommodate the work schedule that has been shared. And also, you need to find a substitute or trade the shifts in case somebody doesn't feel well or will not be available. Um, Finally, I would say you need to consider time off and vacation requests, and then implement very clear systems or policies on employees that are requesting for time offs, and make it clear that there is no favorism. Uh, so the last point was to involve all the drivers, let them assist you in the scheduling, discuss with them, ask them their preferred times, and then ask them also if they are comfortable working outside the available time schedules before you schedule the shift. I think by that I come to the end of my presentation, and I believe we have learned something. Nikita, over to you.
Thank you, Kennedy. Thank you so much. I think there. I see quite some number of questions have popped up for you today. So let's start with the Q&A then. Let me just activate that. 1 second. Here we go. So let's start with the first question from Jillian, who says, "Okay, I noticed you said you have 37 vehicles, but you only have 18 full-time drivers." And because I think Jillian, but also many other colleagues, are regular attendees of the webinars, we also talk about utilization, right? So, how are you ensuring good utilization rates of your fleet?
Yes, it is true. We have only 18 full-time drivers, and we have multiple vehicles. But these drivers have been engaged on the basis of their competence. They are drivers who drive both the bus and the smaller vehicles. So that is how we do it. We have assigned each driver a number of vehicles, maybe 2 vehicles per driver. For those that drive buses, there is a driver with the bus, and then a minivan, and an SUV. So each one of them have been given responsibility over those vehicles. They follow up with the maintenance, they follow up with the day-to-day checks. And so that is how we make sure that they use the vehicles and follow them up correctly. Is that okay with you? Have I
I think
answered your
that's
question?
definitely, I think it's definitely covering the part of the question, at least, that okay, how are you making sure that if you don't have one driver per vehicle, then how are you still keeping control of it? It definitely answers that part of the question. Let's pick up another one, right? So Simasa says, because you mentioned on-call drivers, right? Um, how do you engage them? Like, if you're not paying them,
how do you still keep them motivated to want to provide availability, um, and to want to work, to be available when you need them?
Okay, our HR system or HR uh, counterparts, they give at least 3 months contract, but strictly stipulating that we will call you when you are required. And
Okay.
then most of the time, we have quite a lot of activities moving on. And most of these drivers, they are, yes, on call contract, but you find them working for the straight 3 months. Maybe they have missed like 2 weeks only in the 3 months. So that is how we do it. Yes.
So if I listen correctly, Kennedy, those who are on call, they have the feeling, yes, work comes from this contract. So they feel, okay, I will, even though it's an on-call contract, I will have some work in this period of time for sure. That's how you've managed to reassure them. Do I hear that correctly?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. How do you pay drivers with different times of work?
Well, the on-call contract drivers have the hourly contract. It's based on hourly, the hours they work. So that should not be an issue because everyone knows that I've worked maybe 10 hours this week or 20 hours this week, and that is what they will be paid for. And for the regular contract drivers, those ones have a minimum of 37 hours per week, which they
Okay.
should cover in every working week. Over.
Okay. Thank you. How do you empower drivers to speak up about like their rights, and to tell you like if they don't agree with the schedule, that they feel open to say, Kennedy?
Well, we have an open door policy, and that is why we have the toolbox talks every other day. We gather together informally. We make fun, we joke. We discuss issues ranging from work and issues outside work. So we make people feel psychologically safe so that they are able to discuss their issues and openly speak up when it comes to shift scheduling. And we are very flexible when it comes to issues with the scheduling times, but we make it clear that you cannot reschedule at the last minute unless it's an emergency.
Okay.
I hope I've
Okay.
answered that one well.
I think so, definitely. Mary asks, you talk about scheduling tasks based on personal capacity. How do you balance it in a way that top performers are not burnt out?
Okay. Um, we try as much as possible to balance, like, for example, if we have a person that is um, doing senior management transfers. This person will not do senior management transfers for the whole month throughout. We will have to schedule a time when they will take off and rotate, give another person that opportunity to rest, and then this other person takes over maybe for 1 week or 4 days or 3 days in a week to just relieve this other person so that they are not burnt out. I hope that one is clear.
Super. Looking at the time, Kennedy, two more very, very quick ones. Let me see. One, we had at least four or five colleagues say, would you be willing to share the driver shift schedule template you had? We're not looking for private IOM information, of course, but you showed the spreadsheet with the template. If you could share that template with me, then I'll attach that into the thank you. Would that be all right? Or you want to take some time to think about it?
No, it will be all right. It will
Okay.
be a template that is extracted, so no problem.
Okay, super. And then we have a final one. I think it's more a compliment than anything else, but Sheila says, because I don't know how lucky they are to have you. Thank you, Sheila. I think you made Kennethy's day. Um, colleagues, looking at the time, I know there's still a couple of questions, but we're looking. I mean, we're running out of time, and I want to make sure, in the spirit of good fleet management, that we respect your schedule, right? That we don't only ask our program staff to be on time, but that we also follow time. So a big thank you to all of you for joining. So many questions, challenging Kennethy, but also complimenting him, giving him some, it's good to share practices. Kennethy, thank you so much for making the time available. I know this is on top of your daily job and everything else that's going on. So we are really grateful to presenters like yourself for sharing your experiences. Um, I think based on the questions and the feedback I'm seeing coming through the chat, people walked away with some new ideas today, some interesting ones. Colleagues, those of you who liked this topic and you want to learn more about it, we actually offer a training that's about fatigue management. It's something that maybe if you're interested in, I would encourage you to look at. We will be sharing the webinar recording with all of you, also the template that Kennedy referred to, and a link to the training in case you want to learn more. And once again, thank you all for joining. Our next webinar is taking place next week, the 31st. It's about diverse driver teams. Is it worth the investment or not? So I would encourage you all to sign up for that as well. Uh, Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Kennedy. Thank you, IOM. And thank you to all the participants today. I appreciate your time. Have a great day. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.